Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Speak. I am your host, Emily Miller, intuitive guide and healer. So, this week I wanted to bring up another topic that I have been hearing a lot about. Um, and I want to go in a new direction with reflections that we haven't really talked about before, I don't think. So, in all of the places that I've kind of been visiting and being in and going around and places I've been putting myself, I've been hearing and being a part of a lot of different conversations that are about astrology and how astrology is like something that rules our planet. And I want to give you guys some information today that will be able to put you in your power and show you how, even if forces of the universe, of our solar system, stars, moon, tides, all of these things, they are real, they are happening. There are physical changes going on within our universe, and they do affect human beings, but they aren't the end all be all. Like just because we're, about to have a full moon tithed by the eclipse and covered in Taurus or Pisces or whatever the things are, these Lilith in Gemini. I don't even know. I just hear all these words. And to me, before I knew the things that I know now, I would listen to people who spoke in these ways and had this, universe knowledge. And I don't mean like with universal laws and source truth, but they have the information that tells how the moon, the stars, and the planets affect human beings. That sort of information. Like I thought, oh, well, they know so much, it has to have some sort of weight. And then whenever you look at that stuff and read it and follow it, it then becomes your reality. So, with that, saying like, oh, you're a Gemini, which I am a Gemini, and a lot of the things, the traits that Geminis hold true with me because it does have a basis in truth, astrology, and many people use astrology and live and die by it. It does hold a lot of truth, but it doesn't hold 100% truth. Just like religion has, some good stuff and some bad stuff, some stuff that we want to hold and take. Astrology has the same things. The good stuff is there, and there's a lot of information that holds truth, but it's not the end all be all truth. There is more to it, and there are parts that you can take and then use as your own. You can, in religion, take the parts that resonate with you and use it and say, okay, this is something that I believe in, and this is something that is, opening, it's expanding, it is something that makes me feel light, it makes me feel good. So I'm going to take this part of it and I'm going to apply that in my life. Same goes with astrology. The Gemini says, oh, well, I'm, two different. I can't even remember what all the things are, but I have like the twin personality. And so I can, be a very serious person in business and then be super fun and playful with my friends. That's true. And also, like I can be super serious with my friends and super playful in business. It's not the deciding factor of how the world and you have to live. There are so many facets and other things that those religions or, astrology or numerology or human design that they don't address, things that they don't take into consideration when it comes to true, source truth, the big truth of it all. So, there has been all the talk about astrology and how, this planet rules this part of your life, or this full moon that we're about to experience, I think maybe tomorrow or the next day, is going to have these massive impacts on your life and it's going to make you super emotional. And then You have to do this, ceremony to be able to release those emotions. And if you don't practice this full moon in solar eclipse or in eclipse, then you're, not going to be able to ever release those emotions for another 10 years until this exact eclipse happens again. That sort of stuff, whenever you hear it and it's like, it's limiting and it's telling you you have to do this now or else you won't be able to have this. That's where I kind of like radars go up, antennas, are starting to pick up where the falsehoods lie within that information. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up for you with the idea that yes, it does hold true. Astrology does hold a lot of truth in it, but it's not the end all be all. Christianity holds a lot of truth. Buddhism holds a lot of truth. Hinduism holds a lot of truth. Numerology holds a ton of truth. And there's, all these different things. Human design, yes, it is important and it holds lots of information, but it's just kind of like a starting point. It's a jump off point. It's a point where you can, dig into this information, see where it kind of guides you and leads you, and then the things that you pick up along the way as you learn all of those things are things that are going to be useful in your life, but they are not the definite deciding factor of how your life is going to look or turn out. And if you go into astrology or numerology or any of these other things, and I've done this so many times where somebody's, an astrologer and they're like, oh, here, let me give you your life path with this. Or you go in numerology, oh, because your name is this and it holds this pattern, then that's going to mean that you are, like one of mine is, you're going to be wealthy, you're good with money. And I was like, oh, I'll take that. Then another one you go into, because I've literally done them all, in my search and pursuit of finding the things that work. In human design, it was like, oh, you're a manifesting generator. And so in human design, that means that you are really good at getting, a whole bunch of knowledge from all of these different things, which I've literally just told you that I do. Um, and so there's a lot of truth in it. And there's a lot of things that are good. So take those things that you resonate with, take the things that feel really good within you, and then you can use those and apply them how you want to in this lifetime. So just because somebody tells you this is how something is, doesn't mean that that's the only way that it is. Even with the stuff that I'm telling you, there will be things that you're like, you know, I don't agree with that. She's crazy for saying that. And good. I hope you think that. Go for it. Like, think I'm crazy and then find what you like of what I'm saying and use it. So that's kind of how the information comes through because there are these big ideas like in religion and astrology and these big, you know, um, ways of just like living within them, and they are all rooted in really good information. But what happens with all of this is that humans come in and humans take over and they take that really good, pure information that has come through, like in, Christianity or whatever. And they take those things and they manipulate it and they change it and they veer you in a different direction than maybe what source intended for that information to come through as. And they will use it for their agendas to get you to think and feel and believe in a certain way that serves them and their purpose. And by them and their, I'm saying dark forces. And I have a whole episode on that, maybe like 3 or 4 episodes back, actually, probably like 5. And it's called Why Dark Forces Need You. So listen to that, and then this will kind of make a lot more sense. So, there's an agenda that people have through that they use religion and astrology and all this stuff to get humans, to get us to believe and feel and think a certain way so that we don't step into our full power, so that we aren't going to be able to do like really grand big, big things. Because if we were able to do all the things that Source and Higher Self created us to do, then it's going to put them out of business, basically. Think of it like Big Pharma. That is something that is a dark force agenda, okay? And with Big Pharma and these companies who have created all of these drugs, they are making humans dependent on certain medications and making them feel like if I don't take these medications, then I'm going to do this. Let's think of it like with vaccines. And I don't want to get like totally into that whole entire conversation, but if you were supposed to um get a shot, okay, and they want you to get this certain one, and they are promoting it, and you think, oh, well, I have to take this in order to be healthy and protect all the people around me. And if I don't do it, then I could possibly kill my grandma because I am, making other people sick by not taking this. So they will then have you dependent on something that only they can create and then give to you, which will ultimately make you very ill. It will put things into your body that are not meant to be there. They are not coming from nature. They aren't coming from something that is good and healing and healthful to your body. Ultimately, it will break it down and put things in it that cause inflammation, which cause disease ultimately. So you can see how there are these things out there that are put into our systems so that in our mental and physical systems and our creator field systems that are going to keep us down, keep us limited, keep us sick, keep us in a frame of mind where we need someone else to be able to give us what will heal us, what will make us whole, what will make us healthy. When the source truth of that is that we are the ones that do that. You don't need to have an injection in order to be healthy, in order to keep your grandma safe and healthy. That's just not true. You are able to do that. You have the power and the ability within you to do that, but they don't want you to know that because if you know that, then you don't need them anymore. And their fear in their fearful and limited state of mind that they are in, they think that they will then lose all power and control. Their ultimate goal in life is to have power and control over humanity. And I, for one, am not going to give them that. So, coming back to the whole idea that there are these things in our world that they want us to think dictate our reality, like astrology and religion, and we have to live or die by these things that they put out there as 100% truth. It's not all true. You get to choose what you want to believe. You get to choose what makes you feel good. You get to choose what you want to take on as your own. So, keeping that in mind, where I wanted to go with this with reflections is we haven't really covered the circumstances part of reflections. We've talked about people and we've talked about our body and how we have ultimate control over how people treat us by how we treat ourselves. We have ultimate control over how our body feels based on how we think and feel and believe about ourselves and what we are putting in our energetic body and how that manifests into the physical. But we haven't really talked about circumstances. So, like with the full moon eclipse that we're supposed to be experiencing, it's supposed to bring about, if I'm remembering exactly what I read earlier this morning, is that it is bringing about like a time of really, what's the word, like disgruntled emotions, and that you are going to have some sort of big emotional breakthrough and um you have to release it all now, and if you don't release it now you won't have this opportunity for another 10 years, and so you need to do this full moon ritual in order to release, otherwise you're stuck with the emotions for a decade. or whatever it is. Um, and so I just want for you guys to know that while that full moon eclipse does carry a lot of energy in it, it is not something that is going to dictate your life for the next 10 years. You are in control of what happens in the next 10 years of your life, fully and completely, regardless of what's going on in the world around you. There can be earthquakes, there can be fires, there can be tornadoes, there can be hurricanes, there can be wars, there can be riots, there can be all of these things going on in the world, all around you, in every single country, in every single surrounding town, in all these different places. You hear it on the news every single day, but yet you are still sitting here and you are still listening to this podcast and you are still perfectly safe. You get to control the situations and circumstances around you. Now, you may have experienced a time where you were in a tornado. I have. You may have experienced a time where you were in an earthquake or a hurricane, or you were affected by war, or you were affected by riots, or you were affected by, all these different circumstances. And in that time in your life, you were feeling and thinking and believing a certain way about yourself. So if you were to experience a tornado, you would be in an emotional state where you are feeling like you have these spinning thoughts that are spinning out of control, and you have no way to like come back and be grounded in yourself, that these thoughts are taking over, taking control, and they're going to destroy your life. If you were in an earthquake, it is the universe literally shaking you into awareness that your head has been in the clouds and you aren't firmly planted on earth. You are too much like in La La Land and you need to snap back to it and come back. These are circumstances that are things that are completely 100% created by you and your emotions. The the universe, like source and then higher self, will also ensure that if you are going to be in an emotional state like that, then they're going to put you in places where you are going to experience circumstances that match the way that you are feeling about yourself. So I was placed into a state where, like a physical state, not a energetic or mental state, into a physical place in this country where I was living in Tornado Alley, where there are tornadoes all the time. And I actually then moved from this one location in the state to another location in the state where in a year's time period, I know it was, yeah, probably about a year's time period, I experienced, I think, two definite full times where I was like in a tornado. So that was not by happenstance. That was not by accident. I wasn't just happened to be in this town where I think it was like an F4 tornado came whipping through and, destroyed half the town. Like that wasn't an accident. My higher self planned it very perfectly so that I would be there, so that I would be like whipped out of this way that I was thinking and feeling and believing about myself, and realizing, okay, like something, this is something big. We had to give Emily something huge so that she would come back to the realization of what's like going on in her reality, that she would come back and be more centered and be more in her physical body and get out of her head so much so that she can actually focus in on the like real world around her, not the things that are, spinning in her head. And then you might also be like, well, what about all the other people that live there? Well, yeah, they were all there too. What happens in those kind of situations is that we are, as human beings, because we're energetic beings, we gravitate towards people who have the same um, emotions as us. We're pulled to them, and we create a collective consciousness, a collective way of thinking and feeling and believing and being and moving. And so that's why, like, people in different areas of the world have certain I guess maybe almost stereotypes about how they are. Like when you think about California, you think it's like, oh, the land of dreamers, and everybody's, having these big ideas and big thoughts, and they're always kind of up in the clouds, and that's why they live in a place that has earthquakes because sometimes the universe is like, hey guys, wake up, come back down to earth. You gotta get out of your head and do some physical, like get out of La La Land, which actually that's a nickname for LA. So makes perfect sense, right? Um, so I don't want you to think that anything happens by accident or that you have no control over those things. Just because someone told you in, a religion or a philosophy or a way of a lifestyle that just because you have things that are similar to, your Gemini status or your numerology number three or your, lifestyle of this, what is it? The Manny Jenny lifestyle of the human design, those sorts of things. It's just the same as like if somebody were to give you a diagnosis for, let's say they gave you a diagnosis of diabetes, and with comes the diagnosis, all the symptoms. And so if you have that diagnosis, that label, that thing, then you have to live by and have all of those symptoms. It's the same thing with all of the other like labels that you get through astrology or numerology or religion, or we know all those things. So you always have a choice, you always have an option. Your situations and circumstances are fully and completely 100% in your control when you realize that you are the creator of them. It's not an accident. And it's not something that you are going to have to live by because somebody else told you that you have to be that thing. So you get to change them. And while they are a lot of times based in truth, you don't have to accept them. Take what you want, take what you like, and then realize you don't like something about how you're living in your life, you don't like that situation or circumstance, you can see, how did I create that? What was the belief that I'm holding on to that put me in that situation, and how do I get out of it? I don't want to have that experience anymore. I don't want to live life like that. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm in an abusive relationship. I don't want to be in a situation where I am experiencing an unfaithful partner. I don't want to be in an experience where I live in a town that is, not allowing me to be the fullest expression of myself. There are all these different situations and circumstances that people just say, oh, it's just where I live. That's just him. That's just her. That's just what I have to live with. So the really cool thing is that you're hearing this and you knew in your heart like that that's not something that you had to accept. And now you're getting that confirmation that you get to change it. You get to have these different experiences. And life isn't dictated by other people. It's only dictated by you. And sometimes that can be like a big pill to swallow. And you're like, oh, I created that. I don't think I did that. Why would I ever do that? Well, Higher Self had a really good plan for you. They had this really amazing set of circumstances and situations and people and all these things in your life that they wanted you to experience so that you can learn the lessons from them, so that you could be like, oh, that's why that happened. And then you can change it. You get to have that opening, that really cool, like open pathway where all the good stuff comes in. So just like you can control the people in your life, and just like you can control how your body feels, you can also control the situations and circumstances that are in your existence. So, oh, I wanted to let you guys know that I just recorded a mini series on this. I have it up on my YouTube. I'll link it in the notes for this for you guys. And I think it's a 4-part series, or no, that one's a 5-part series on control. And so that one is up and ready to go. So I'll link it in the notes for you. So watch that if you want to get some more information on control. I still have my mini reads available. So if you are wanting to see, what kind of things are happening in your life and where they are stemming from, like I was able to figure out why I was in so many tornadoes. I can figure out these things for you, like what is going on within your relationships, what's going on within the things that you're experiencing that you want to shift. I can find the root cause of those things for you guys. So reach out to me in the mini reads. It's on my website, it's linked in the show notes. And have a gorgeous, gorgeous week.